I've learned to be gentle and I've learned to be tough. I found only two things that last till the end. One is your heroes, the other's your friends. Your heroes will help you find good in yourself. Your friends won't forsake you for somebody else. They'll both stand beside you through thick and through thin. And that's how it goes with you.
Hey, we're back. Welcome into All About Country right here with Ken Rainey, Keith Ballard, and Roger Smith, all live and direct from the beautiful Temple Theater in Meridian, Mississippi. And this week, other than making a couple of corrections, we're going to talk about a superstar named Randy Travis. How you, Keithy?
Well, I'm doing fine, Ken. I got a good checkup the other day. I had an EKG done.
Oh, that's great,
everything turned
man.
out right. And the doctors in this town are great. They're
What
absolutely
they
great.
They are.
They have promised to send EKGs to all my ex-girlfriends to prove I have got a heart.
Roger, you had any medical issues?
No.
Okay.
We took a long trip around the country, Cleveland, Chicago, all about theater. Everything looked great.
Well, can I tell you one thing very
Yes, sir.
important?
I would love
Y'all
to.
are brave.
Ken, I went to the beach during spring break.
Oh, my gosh,
I
that
did.
never happened.
Yes, and there was this child down there that said, Mommy, Mommy. I was on the beach. Said, Mommy, Mommy, I didn't know whales went this far south.
Well, they've been washing up on the beach pretty often.
Greenpeace got called.
That's exactly right. Hey, a couple of corrections real quick. On the Willie Nelson episode, I made 2 errors, and I want to straighten that out because we want to be factual and we want to be correct in what we say. I called Willie's Fair and Young song 4 Walls. It's not 4 Walls, it's Hello Walls.
Yes.
And it's sold millions of records. And the bull that Willie purchased for Fair and Young didn't cost $10,000. I learned after the episode it was $38,000.
Wow.
So we're trying
Wow.
to be factual on whatever we say
Exactly.
and whatever we do.
Exactly.
And so another thing, we want to congratulate beautiful Emily White. She entered early Monday, a song that Gail Harper wrote. She entered it into several film festivals.
Right.
And it actually won the Boston Film
Oh,
Festival.
cool.
And
Wow.
it placed way up in high numbers
Wow.
in the Oxford Film Festival
Excellent.
over in London, England. So
Wow.
She's
congratulations, Emily.
Yes,
She's a beautiful
yes,
lady.
yes, she is.
And so, what else is on your mind this morning?
Randy Travis.
Oh, man.
We have got so much inside stuff about Randy. We want you to stay tuned because this is really some great stuff about it. I thought I knew Randy Travis, but one of the things we'll talk about later is his movie prowess and
Yeah.
TV. He was on TV. He had 55 movie and television credits.
Well, I'm glad you got that information because you and Roger are more suited for filming information than I am. If it didn't happen on the radio, I don't know a whole lot about it.
Well, I've been cut out of many films, I should know, Ken.
Well, yeah, but you know, and most of them was cartoons. And so, but we do want to talk about a superstar named Randy Travis. And I guess we'll start back in 1985 when he signed his contract with Warner Music in Nashville, Tennessee. And he had a couple of occasions under different names. And it went from Randy Trarick to Randy Travis.
Wow.
And so they finally got the right name. It is a correct name, Randy Travis. So Keith and myself will work in the morning show from 6 to 9 every morning. And we get this record in, a new record from Warner Music. So we put it on the turntable while we're playing commercials and doing all the other stuff. And man, that thing sounded so great. We couldn't wait to play it. It was called On the Other Hand.
Yes.
I remember.
On one hand, I count the reasons I could stay with you and hold you close to me all night long. that hand, there's no reason why it's wrong. But on the other hand, there's a golden band to remind me of someone who would not understand.
Yes.
I remember that song.
And so we played it, and the phones just lit up like a Christmas tree. And we played it again, and the phones lit up like a Christmas tree. And we played that song 3 times in our 3-hour show
Right.
that Monday morning.
Wow.
The program director was not happy with us.
No, he was not. And the big boss wasn't too happy, but we did play it 3 times. And so it went on, and it just kept getting requests
Snowballed.
and getting requests. And all of a sudden, Warner Brothers releases a second song. It was called 1982. And I couldn't believe that. So I called my record rep at that time, and I can't remember who it was. And I said, y'all have lost your mind. Why have we lost our mind? I said, because this thing hadn't even covered Mississippi and Alabama yet, and y'all released the second single.
Yeah.
So they re-released On the Other Hand. So the way it worked out, first release was sometime in 1985. They released 1982's song, and then they came back and re-released On the Other Hand, and it went to #1, so millions of copies.
Ken, your good friend Paul Overstreet co-wrote it along with Don Schlitz.
He did. And the story there is
Tell us.
he was born and raised in Newton, Mississippi. His daddy was a traveling preacher. And so after a certain period of time in Newton, they moved to Van Cleve,
Right,
Mississippi.
right.
And that's where the family roots are, is in Van Cleve. But the first time we got him, Paul Overstreet I'm
Right.
talking about, and then we'll get back on Randy Travis. Paul Overstreet and Don Schlitz probably wrote, I'm going to say 8 or 9 songs on the first album.
Right.
And every one of them went, they wrote On the Other Hand, 1982, Digging Up Bones, and on and on and on. Oh, Love You Forever and Ever, Amen.
Yeah, that was a great
Now
one.
that was a monster.
It really was.
And Paul Overstreet has played this theater, and Don Schlitz too,
Yeah.
and the Songwriters Round. And I guess we'll do a show on Paul Overstreet sometime.
Yeah, we
Should, because
So-
he is prolific.
Oh, he is #1. He's the greatest individual you'll ever
Yes.
meet, and but we can do an entire show on him because of the songs he's written.
Well, let me tell you about on the other hand, you talk about the radio playlist. Well, my wife, Sheila, before she came to TV news, was a disc jockey over in West Alabama. And she'd get this call every shift that she was on about On the Other Hand. And she said, this lady said, I don't care. It's not on the playlist. Would you please play it? And that's how powerful it was.
Oh, it was a powerful song, and so powerful. I called Warner Brothers, and I said, how in the world do I get in touch with the people that handle Randy Travis? And they say to me, well, he works out at Nashville Palace. He's the dishwasher.
Oh, God. Unbelievable.
And the lady that runs the Nashville Palace is his manager.
Oh, jeez.
I said, what in the world is her name? And they said, Lib Hatcher. And I said, do you happen to have her phone number? And they said, yes, we do. And when we come back in just a few minutes, we're going to tell you the rest of the story about Randy Travis.
Operator, please connect me with 1982. I need to make apologies for what I didn't do. I sure do need to tell her that I thought the whole thing through. And now it's clear that she is what I should have held on to. They say hindsight's 20/20, but I'm nearly going blind from staring at her photograph and wishing she was mine. It's that same old lost love story. It's sad, but it's true. There was a time when she was mine in 1982.
Hey, we're back after a few adjustments by Oswald, who's chief cook.
He's a magician, let's put it this way.
Yeah, I mean, look what he does to our makeup every time we do
Yeah,
this.
right.
Yeah.
I call him Kumar the Magnificent.
Okay, yeah. And thank you as well for getting all the cameras straight. And now we're back to talk about Randy Travis. And I want to continue that story. So Warner Brothers gave me the phone number to Lib Hatcher. And so I called Lib Hatcher. I said, Lib, you don't know me, but I'm in a little radio station down in Meridian, Mississippi, home of Jimmie Rogers, the father of country music. Oh, yeah, we know about Jimmie Rogers. And I said, well, congratulations on getting Randy Travis a recording contract. And on the other hand, is a smash hit down here. I said, but I really hate to brag too much about him to you. And she said, well, why? I said, because I'm fixing to ask you to let him come to Meridian and play a show. And then we got to talk about money. And if I brag on him too much, your money might be too high for me.
The money goes up.
Yeah.
Price goes up.
You know what she said to me?
What?
She said, well, I want to hear what you're talking about because we hadn't been outside of Nashville to do a show. All Randy's been doing is at the Nashville Palace.
Ken, let me back up just a second. Why do you think, you know music better than anybody that I know, why do you think, on the other hand, hit? I mean, what was it about?
Well, it's like you said earlier before we turned the cameras on, traditional country had been in a bad place for a little short period of time.
Right.
And when Randy Travis and Alan Jackson came on the scene, it all went back to traditional country. And you don't get any more traditional than on the other hand.
Yeah, and they put a fancy word to it, neo-traditional music, country music.
I never knew Neo was him.
And Roman. But anyway, what it does, I find it fascinating, what it does is emphasize the instrumental music, and also you put on the traditional country, the wild country outfits.
Well, it's hard to be Randy Travis and not be traditional country.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's hard to be Alan Jackson and not be traditional country.
True.
I mean, just by opening their mouth, they are
That's what
definitely
comes
country
out.
music.
Yeah.
And on the other side, there's Reba. I mean, she's as country as you get.
Same thing.
Absolutely.
And there's so many stories that I want to jump into when you say Reba. And she played this theater 2 times on one night.
Wow.
And the guy that produced her first album, when Scott McQuigg was beginning to be in country music, I got her producer. His name was Blake Mavis. And he produced the first album on Reba McEntire and George Strait. And he came to this theater.
That's another one that neo-traditional country music, emphasizing the instrumental.
So we're talking about Randy Travis, and this is a very important story because it turned out to be one of the best bookings I was able to do. And I hope I'm not messing up by telling the entire story, but I'm going to tell it. So Lib says, well, we hadn't done any out-of-town shows. And when do you want us to come down to Meridian? And I said, well, I got T.G. Shepherd booked for a show, and he's headlining the show. And I gave her the date, and she said, well, we'd normally be playing the Nashville Palace, but how much can you pay us? And I said, well, since you're going to be a front act, and I don't have a lot of money, and I don't want to get in trouble with my boss, I said, I could probably come up with about $500.
Oh, my gosh.
And she said, well, said that would cover our expenses down there. And she said, of course, we ain't got a band. I said, all I want is Randy Travis and his guitar.
Right.
I ain't worried about no band. So she said, go ahead and book us on that show. So they came down and he opened the show for T.G. Shepherd.
T.G. Shepherd.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you the end result of that. The next night, he goes back to Nashville and he's on the show with Ralph Emery on the Nashville Network.
Wow.
And Ralph said, well, how you been doing, Randy? On the other hand, it's just a smash hit every place. And he said, oh, I'm doing fine. He said, we played Meridian, Mississippi the other night, and said, it's the first standing ovation I ever had, and it was in the Temple Theater. Now, how about that?
You couldn't buy better advertising.
Yeah.
Believing the story gets much bigger and better. When he comes off the stage, the crowd is going nuts in this theater.
Right.
We got a full house, and
No band, just an acoustic.
just him and the guitar.
Wow.
And I don't have a problem with just them and a guitar like Willie.
That
I'd rather
separates
see Willie Nelson with him and a guitar than
I
he
hear
had
you.
the whole band.
that
I hear
separates a singer from an entertainer.
Oh
which
man,
is
what
hear
you're
you.
talking
Yes,
about.
absolutely.
That's exactly right. And to obtain a standing ovation on one song that you've got on the radio, that's pretty strong.
It is strong.
And just him and the guitar. So anyway, he gets off stage, the crowd's going crazy, and I said, man, I got to think of something. I got to get him back down here, and he ain't coming for $500. So
Probably not, Ken.
So he's off stage, and we get TG on, and TG starts his show. And we're leaning against the ropes back here, where the old ropes used to pull the curtains
They're
up.
still there,
Oh,
Ken.
yes.
And I say to Lib Hatcher, I say, Lib, while y'all are here, why don't we talk about some more dates? And she said, well, what do you want to talk about? And I said, well, I got about 3 more shows booked this year, and I could probably put y'all in front of some people. And she said, well, what you thinking? I said, well, let's go ahead and say the next show, I pay you $1,500. She said, well, that sounds good. It's 1,000 more than we made this time. She said, what you want to do then? And I said, well, I want to book a second show. And on that show, I can take you up to $2,000. She said, well, now it's getting better. I said,
What
well,
do you think?
I said, let's just go ahead and put the top
Do
one.
it.
I said, I want to book you a third show in this theater. She said, well, what's that one going to be? And I said, man, I'm gonna open it up. $2,500. She said, man, let's shake hands.
Thank you, Daddy Warbucks.
So me and Lib Hatcher shook hands, and me and Randy Travis shook hands.
Shaking hands, no contract.
No contract, no nothing.
Word is your
Shook
bond.
hands.
Right.
Well, after that, 1982 comes out,
Uh-huh.
and it's just going up the charts like crazy. So I booked my first show with them. Give them a date when I want them. They come down, and it's just him and his guitar again.
Mhm.
And we do that show, and the crowd is going crazy. So after that, Digging Up Bones gets released.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Well,
yeah.
Digging Up Bones just shoots up that chart like crazy. So I called and I say, Lil, y'all ready to do that second show? Oh, yeah, Ken, when you want it? So I gave them the date, and they came and did the second show. Well, this time, they've added a drummer, a guitar player, a bass player, and Randy on the acoustic. Well, now I got...
Last night I dug your picture out from our old dresser drawer. I set it on the table and I talked to it till 4. I read some old love letters right up till the break of dawn. Yeah, I've been sitting alone, digging up bones. Then I went through the jewelry and I found our wedding rings. I put mine on my finger and I gave yours a fling. Across this lonely bedroom of our recent broken home. Yeah, tonight I'm sitting alone, digging up bones. I'm digging up bones, I'm digging up bones, exhuming things that's better left alone. I'm resurrecting memories of a love that's dead and gone. Yeah, tonight I'm sitting alone, digging up bones.
Well, now I got a partial band
Yeah.
for my second show. So we get that show done, and all of a sudden, Forever and Ever Amen comes out before that third show.
The mega hit.
That song, I'm going to estimate sold 50 million songs. Albums or singles. And here I've got another date that I have not used. And so I decided to call Lib while things are really hot and go ahead and get my third date. How much time we got as well? Okay. All right. So I call the office like I've done so many times before. And I say, let me speak to Lib, please. Well, Lib's not available. I said, well, I need to talk to her. And well, they out on the road said, maybe you can talk to our in-house booking agent.
Oh, brother.
I said, you're what?
That fast.
Well, they've hired a guy
Of course.
in charge of bookings.
Of course.
And I said, well, who would that be? And she said, that's going to be Alan. I said, Alan Wickham? And she said, yeah, how'd you know that? And I said, because I've been booking through him forever.
Ever.
I said, well, let me speak to Alan, tell him it's Ken Rainey. And so sure enough, he come on the phone real quick. And I said, Alan, I was trying to reach Lib because I was trying to work out the third date that we have. Oh, you ain't got no third date.
Yeah.
He said, you must be dreaming. I said, no, I'm not dreaming. I said, we shook hands on 3 dates, and we've used 2 of them, and we still got 1 left. He said, well, Ken, I've known you for a long time. He said,
Oh, brother.
it ain't gonna happen. I said, well,
Terrible.
I just don't believe that that's correct. And he said, well, why do you not believe me? And I said, because I know you're going to call Lib, and you're going to say to Lib, Ken Rainey
We
called
shook.
and says he's got a third date, but y'all have never told me about that. I'm just telling you what you're going to say to Lib. And he said, well, I'm sure calling her as soon as I hang up. I said, well, okay. And I said, as soon as you talk to her, call me back and tell me what she said.
Right.
So about an hour and a half passed, maybe 2 hours. My phone rings at the radio station, and he says, man, we're booked solid everywhere. I said, well, I understand that. Randy's hot. And I said, but what did Lib say? And he said, she told me we doing the third date.
Exactly.
Just work out the time and the place. And so I said, well, I want to be agreeable. And he said, well, the only thing I could do within a certain length of time is I can give you a Sunday afternoon in the Temple Theater for your third date. I said, well, you know what? I want to be agreeable, so we'll just do that. So we had a Sunday afternoon show in here, and you couldn't put another person in here.
There you have it.
And so I was real thrilled about my $2,500
Absolutely.
date.
Absolutely.
What an investment.
What an investment. And you know who was happier than I was? Your old boss.
Oh, you know what boss spelled backwards is?
Eddie Holiday and myself were booking a
He
lot
was
of
not.
shows back then, and that was the most profitable shows that we did,
Wow.
was with Randy Travis.
There you
And
have it.
they couldn't have been nicer, and we'd go out and eat fish when they was down here, catfish, and
I'm sure he loved it.
we just had a great time.
Well, the thing about it is, we kid about Mr. Holiday, but when he knew something
Yeah.
good, he would latch on to it.
yeah, and to be fair to him,
Yeah.
he didn't care who I booked, when I booked him, and how much I paid him. He just wanted to show at the box office.
As long as it worked.
Yeah, and it did work. And we booked Reba McEntire, and we booked, I don't want to get into all the people we booked,
Right.
but we booked a ton of people. And
Amazing story.
Well, this theater was
Yeah.
the place
Yeah.
for 30, 40 years that I know of.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we were very, very lucky to be able to obtain the big artists that we did obtain. And,
Everything worked.
so
Everything fit at
worked,
the
and
time.
it was great. And,
Yeah.
so anyway, the Randy Travis thing is such a great story.
Really
and we're
is.
glad that we were able to tell it on All About Country right here with Keith and Roger and Ken. And we're going to be still here for a while. Am I right as well? He's looking at me kind of cross-eyed. He's got his eyes crossed. Did you notice that?
Yes, and he can cry backwards on tears run down his back. I knew he was coming that way.
And he speaks all kind of languages, but he acts like he doesn't.
I know he does.
Yes, I've had that language spoken to me many times.
Yeah.
I heard him speak some Southside lingo the other day.
Yeah, he loves that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're so happy to be here with you talking about Randy Travis. And we just got through talking about Willie Nelson in the past couple of episodes.
And we'll talk a little bit about Randy's movie career.
Yeah, talk about
Yeah,
that.
in the next segment, we'll talk about it.
All right.
Or are we going to is it time for a break? Does the audience need a break? Have you checked?
They saying please. Well, that was a quick break, and we're back. All About Country, right here with Ken Rainey, Keith Ballard, and Roger Smith in the beautiful Temple Theater. And Keith, you got a story about some film that Randy Travis
The
made.
one thing that has all the artists that we have covered so far on this show, they have acting abilities, producing abilities. They were not only just in country music, but on TV and also in the movies. Randy Travis, no exception. I did not know he had 55 movie and TV credits
Oh, my goodness.
on the
That's a
internet.
lot.
I
And
didn't either.
Yeah. Now, one of the things, he was very, you don't get on Andy Griffith's show just because he likes you. It's because you're good. And Randy Travis was on the Matlock. Remember the Matlock show where he was
Sure.
a country lawyer? Well, Randy Travis got into trouble, and he was getting him out of trouble. And so Randy Travis was so good, they wanted him to come back as an actor because it was so natural.
That
Because
is
a lot of times, people who are out of their element act wooden and stiff and everything
True.
like that. Then we get to Clint Eastwood.
Oh, me.
I'm gonna focus more on the record. He got together with Clint Eastwood and a few old country boys was the name of the album, and then he got together with Merle Haggard and Leona Williams on another album thing, and then the third is We're Strangers Again, a duet with Tammy Wynette.
Oh, man. I heard that.
First we were strangers down on our luck, and both in need of a friend. We promised each other too much to live up to, and now we're strangers again.
I came like a stranger and you took me in, and I felt at home in your arms. We had nothing but good times as long as the sun shined, but we just couldn't weather the storm.
You came like a stranger, and I took you in, and you gave me some reasons to live. I gave the good times, and you gave the sunshine, but we ran out of good things to give. Now we are strangers back down on our luck, and both in need of a friend. We promised each other too much to live up to, and now we're strangers again.
I heard that one lots of times.
Powerful. So he just, moving on up to the 2000, he was in a couple of religious movies and won a Dove Award for it, and focused on gospel music in the 2000s.
Well, he was one of the biggest headliners ever in country music, and then had a terrible stroke.
Yes. Ken, you mentioned during the break off camera about his quick draw.
Quick draw, yeah. He practiced drawing them pistols real quick, and he got to where he was great. And I think he put old Gene Archer and Roy Rogers to shame.
Well, Ken, he was a high caliber person. But I'm sorry. See, you leave these things for me, and it's a sickness. I can't help it.
You know, Roy Rogers and Gene Archer were big cowboys, and you know what's so important about that?
What, Ken?
Talking
Tell
about
us.
Randy's quick draw and being in all these Western movies and things he did. Well, Roy Rogers also was a country singer.
Yes, he was
and
a
Gene
great
Autry
one.
was a country singer.
They all were great.
And they were all in the movie business too.
Ken, I once went on a date with this girl, and she said, "Would you take my purse?" Well, I put it in the car, and a gun fell out.
I don't blame her.
I didn't need her daddy to tell me, "Don't mess up,
Yes.
boy." It fell out on the floor. Oh, I just keep that with my compact.
Have you ever noticed something? This is way off the subject, but I said something about Van Cleve, Mississippi a while ago.
Yes.
Okay. This is no lie now. Here's a call coming in from Van Cleve,
Oh, geez.
Mississippi, and I hadn't talked about Van Cleve in 20 years.
They probably, they didn't hear it, but
Well, they heard it someplace.
yeah.
Because there's
It's
a call.
psychic.
Shows like this, get out, Ken.
Yeah.
But Keith, that's some very interesting stuff about Randy Travis. The most creative story that I can think of is he loved fried catfish. If we had a catfish place here,
Man, he needs to come here.
and we'd go and eat catfish after the shows here in the temple,
Wow.
and it was really fun.
Maybe we can somehow get him back.
Well, we can work on it.
He's got one song he's doing.
Of course, well,
Amazing
after
Grace.
the stroke, you're correct.
He's trying.
Well, can we put this on this subject about the Amazing Grace? His wife, his present-day wife, said that he had trouble singing. Just the stroke
Right.
had really taken a toll.
It has.
And the one song that he could grasp hold of was Amazing Grace, and he finally got it down pat. She said, "Then I saw the Randy Travis before the stroke." That's
Yeah.
when it happened. I think that's a
that's
miracle
great.
from God.
Oh, I do
himself.
too. I think it's definitely a miracle because he went for 3 years and he couldn't do anything.
Couldn't speak
except be in
hardly
a
or nothing.
wheelchair.
Yeah.
And I went to a couple of fundraising drives in Nashville that Jamie Johnson put on.
Yeah.
And he was in a wheelchair the whole time. Couldn't get out. And,
Terrible.
and Roger, you had something you wanted to talk about, or do you
Well-
want to wait till we come back?
No, we can do it now.
No,
Okay, we'll have to do it when we come back.
This is what. Did you see Overall's neck? Run.
I think we should wait till we come back.
We'll be
Why don't
back.
we wait until we come back to get Roger's story? And we'll be right back in just a minute.
Okay.
Hey folks, we're back, and All About Country's got a serious topic to talk about, and it sure is not funny at all. And Roger Smith's going to talk to us about it.
I just wanted to mention that we drove through Nashville 2 or 3 days ago and wanted to let all of the people that have suffered and lost loved ones in Nashville that our prayers and our hearts are with you, and we know that you will prevail and put your lives back together and do what you all do, and that's producing the great music that make people happy in America and the world. So God bless you all, and you are in our prayers.
Amen. And I'll tell you, anybody that messes with a kid ought to be shot on.
Yep.
And she was. So, but we do hate to hear that. And of course, you know, Ben Johnson of Track 45, of course, is up in Nashville.
Right.
And he wrote a little piece about how sorry he was. And they did a fundraising drive, and they raised over $300,000 in one day for the families of the victims.
Wow.
That's a great thing.
Oh, it's a tremendous.
See, there's a lot of people who criticize America, but when you see things like this, America's resiliency and people's charity, as we're videotaping this, we just had the tragedy up in Rolling Fork.
Amen.
But people are already responding to the need.
Yes. And one thing I noticed that Billy Graham's son, Franklin Graham,
Yes.
He acts immediately.
Samaritan's Purse.
They don't seem like they don't have any board meetings or anything. They send the trucks.
That's right. The money, he has a board, he has accounting too, and that money goes direct. 99% of it goes directly to the people who are affected.
Boy, he's on the job, and he does a great job too. So if you got a charity you want to donate to, that'd be a good one.
Absolutely.
Because the money's going to a great place. We're so happy to have y'all here with us. I think, what is this, our fifth episode that we're working on?
Hey,
they hadn't been on the air yet.
Yeah,
so this is our fourth or fifth episode to go on YouTube, and we're glad to have y'all whenever it shows.
Exactly.
The thing we need y'all to do for us to help us with this is subscribe, and subscribe.
Yes.
And if you can do it more than once, do it more
And
than
it
once.
doesn't cost. It's free.
It's free of charge.
Yeah.
And,
share it. Once you subscribe, share it,
Yeah.
like it, subscribe.
That's right. And we really would ask you to please do that right away.
That's
And I
our
wanna thank,
lifeline.
Tony Sansone and Karen Sansone over in Atlanta. They shared it for us yesterday and subscribed to it for us yesterday. So that's great. And we're glad that Tony's getting better too.
Yes, we
Absolutely.
are.
Yeah.
Because he is synonymous with entertainment.
An
in the
angel.
Meridian area.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, I promised I'd tell you about Randy Travis's biggest song. It was called Forever and Ever, Amen.
Yes.
So, Paul Overstreet, we're going to take a little time out and we'll be right back.
You may think that I'm talking foolish. You've heard that I'm wild and I'm free. You may wonder how I can promise you now this love that I feel for you always will be. But you're not just time that I'm killing. I'm no longer one of those guys. As sure as I live, this love that I give is gonna be yours until the day that I die. Oh baby, I'm gonna love you forever, forever and ever, amen. As long as old men sit and talk about the weather, as long as old women sit and talk about old men. If you wonder how long I'll be faithful, I'll be happy to tell you again. I'm gonna love you forever and ever, forever and ever, amen.
In the TV and radio business, that's called teasing you. We said we'd tell you about Forever and Ever, Amen, and we do have a story about that. We talked earlier about Paul Overstreet and Don Slitz wrote a tremendous amount of Randy Travis's music. And so they always wrote at Paul Overstreet's house on Tuesday night. Well, Don Slitz didn't feel good that Tuesday, and he called Paul and he said, Paul, I just don't feel like writing tonight. And Paul said, well, come on over and let's sit on the porch and just visit a little bit. And so Don Slitz said, well, okay, I'll come over and we'll drink a beer. And so he goes over to Paul Overstreet's house, and they out on the front porch. And
what else was a guy named Slitz be drinking?
So anyway, they sat there for a while, and one of them, I don't know which one, said, well, forever and ever, amen. and they wrote that song
Wow.
that night.
Whoa.
Isn't that amazing?
On the front porch.
Yeah, and the biggest selling song I guess any of them had. It was a monster. And of course, by the time that song come along, they had already started doing videos of 1982 and digging up bones and all those things. And so I never will forget the Forever and Ever Amen video. And they were at a dance hall.
Right.
And all the little kids were dancing, and Randy was dancing and playing the song. A great video, and like so many of the Randy Travis songs, and I'm so happy he's coming back now and beginning to sing, and sounds real good on the song.
Kenny's
Amazing
got
Grace.
this spring. He was playing in Huntsville, Alabama. It's gonna the Possum's Still Alive. We're talking about George Jones, of course. And then after the show, they're going to do another show where they just question and answer. But then he goes way up north to New York, and they sold out the first show. It's going to be in late August, but they're going to have a second show because it was so well. Sounds like a Ken Rainey production at first.
Exactly.
Well, we'd love to have him sneak right on through here and
Yes,
come
we
back
would.
to the beginning, which
Exactly.
is the Temple
His
Theater.
birthplace.
His
Yes.
first place, yeah. And so you know the dates of those?
Well, the one in Huntsville, by the time it's April 25th, so this show may not air in time for that. But the one in New York, Hempstead, New York, is in August
All right.
25th.
We'll have to get busy and check on that. Get the Pony Express and the telegram. Oswald don't even know what the Pony Express is.
He don't?
No.
Well, let us share with you American history there.
Yeah, would you listen, please?
We wouldn't horse around with you on that. I'm sorry, it's terrible.
And did you notice it was the first ever FedEx? Think about it.
Oh, yes, Ken.
It was.
Did you get
Duh.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we want to be factual. It's August 26th in New York.
Okay.
And they're going to have a conversation with a legend, and he's going to have himself and Mary will talk to each other, and they'll do a show and do question and answer, and then another show the next night.
Oh, that's great. We'll have to charter a plane.
Yeah.
Ken, tell me you're not flying.
Well, no, Roger still has a helicopter, so.
Oh, we'd be a little slow getting there in that.
I thought he wasn't a member of the Rotary Club. But, sorry. I'm telling you, they opened the door as well.
Yeah, just a little crack is
They
all it
opened the
takes.
door, and I
He's
can't
president
help
of the
it.
Rotary Club.
I'm getting counsel for this.
Hey, it's been a fun day, and thank y'all for joining us. And please subscribe and subscribe and subscribe.
Push
and,
the buttons.
Roger, thank you, and thank you,
Ken,
Keith.
thank you.
And we're looking forward to our next visit with you. And as soon as we can find somebody that we can talk about without getting in jail.
Exactly.
Goodbye.
It's overture. Curtain lights will hit the heights.
Your contract does not call for singing.
There should be a contract put out on me. Sorry.
As sure as I live, this love that I give is gonna be yours until the day that I die. Oh baby, I'm gonna love you forever, forever and ever, amen. As long as old men sit and talk about the weather, as long as old women sit and talk about old